Hello, everyone. Justin Stivers. Thank you guys for listening, tuning in for another episode of the Stivers Show. I'm very excited. We've got the Kristen David with us today. How are you, Miss Kristen?
I am doing excellent. So excited to be here, Justin.
Kristen, thank you so much. So you've got a newish venture, which is I'm very excited to talk with you about up-leveling your business. You've been a successful attorney, had a successful law practice. I've been coaching, law firm owners, now businesses in general, and just doing awesome stuff. So I'm excited to have you on here. But maybe we'll start. Kind of where I like to start is just a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do.
Sure. So by trade, I'm a lawyer. I did legal malpractice defense and medical malpractice defense in the state of Oregon for about 15 years. And like many lawyers and other professionals, professional school doesn't teach you how to run your business like a business. In fact, there are very few classes on how to really juggle and manage. And I was working 85 hours a week. I was taking home way too little money as a lawyer in my early days. And I kept thinking there has to be a better way. I loved what I did, but knew there had to be a better way. And ultimately, got with a coaching program and learned how to write my first business plan. Doubled my business in 9 months from 350 to 700. Rewrote my business plan and doubled again. But the best part about that journey was learning how to systematize my entire business so it could run without me. And for the first time, I was finally able to start taking 3-week long vacations, and my business would be able to fully run and be profitable without me. So Justin, you know me, I love systems, and it was a game changer to giving me back my freedom.
Yes, and we'll definitely go into the systems, but I want to your 3 week vacation that you were able to take, and now the life that you're living. Maybe right before we started filming, you're not just set in one place. You're all over the place doing cool stuff. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I sold my law firm business, which a lot of people don't know a law firm can sell, but I sold my business and I knew I love to travel. I love to see new perspectives. And I today am blessed in that I live a third of my time in Seattle, Washington, a third of my time in our apartment in Paris, and a third of the time traveling, going, into the UK, Wales, over to Switzerland, just really having the chance to explore. But a lot of this was learning to build a business that meets my needs as an owner and allows me, we run a virtual company that with team members all over the world, and it everyone knows how to work and function on their own. They don't need me for every part of the day, and that gives me the freedom to definitely work with clients and work with my team, but also have freedom to enjoy life.
You just pissed off everybody who's stuck at their house and isn't able to do anything.
Okay, so everybody can make a goal, right? Literally, this is how it started, Justin, is in 2013, I made a goal that within 5 years, I was going to spend a month in the south of France working from there. At the time, I had my law firm. I didn't know how the heck I was going to do it, but I just made that goal. And in 2018, I did. I had a place in the south of France, great Wi-Fi, and that's what like made me realize this is completely possible to live this life. So if everybody just takes one nugget away, it's set the dream, and instead of it just being an aspiration, put it on a calendar. Make that become a milestone you're going to hit,
Yeah,
and make it happen.
and I think, just to kind of add a little bit of, before we get into, more the specific type of stuff of what you do and how you're helping, business owners. I mean, you have the credentials. Clearly, you've started a law firm, or had a law firm, sold a law firm, recently published a book, which I think was Amazon or Forbes must read, top 21 must read. Recently an Entrepreneur magazine. So you're doing something right.
Thank you. It's been an incredible journey. Yes.
Well, so the meat and potatoes of up leveling your business. What need did you see in that you were kind of trying to fill? Because there's a lot of coaching programs, there's a lot of stuff out there, but I think I just know from personal experience you have kind of very specific, unique skill sets. But maybe for the listeners who aren't familiar, what did you kind of see that said, yeah, I can help businesses in this space?
Absolutely. So, having come from the law firm background and the malpractice background, I saw a lot of the things that caused malpractice, caused chaos, caused owners to be in a spiral because, invoices weren't going out. And so they weren't getting paid. And when you're not getting paid, you don't want to work on cases or do client matters. And so there's the causes lead to effects. And a lot of those were you didn't, there were no good systems for getting the invoices out, which is why we weren't getting paid. There were no good systems around getting things calendared and being proactive, which is why we become living a life of constant fires and on the verge of malpractice, right? So part of this all stems from my background, having seen so much of that and parachuted in and fixed so many of those problems. Part of this is from just being an entrepreneur. I wrote my book, Up Level Your Business, Up Level Your Life, based on the book I wish somebody would have given me straight out of law school: how to run a business, how to have a framework and an infrastructure, and how do you prioritize what to work on first. And we in our business now, we have 4 pillars of successful business management. The first one is planning. A little planning goes a long ways. Second is marketing and selling. If you're not bringing clients in and converting them into paying clients, the business dies. Then comes the management piece, and that's the staffing and the policies, procedures, systems, workflows, because you've got to have a good method and process to handle the volume and to make sure you create raving fans. And then finally, the fourth pillar is the financial controls, because as you grow, especially, when you're doing 10, 15,000 a month, it's easier to manage the numbers. When you're doing 100,000 a month, you've got to be a meticulous, good money manager to like make sure that we don't inadvertently muck things up. And uh, so I saw a need to help other business owners get out of the chaos. I've worked with way too many owners, 800,000 a year, $1 million plus businesses a year, but they're still doing way too much of it themselves. And so we wanted to come in and say, hey, here's a framework, and then here are the systems that help you build it. And you and I both know that everybody needs things at different times. Like sometimes you need help with your financial controls, sometimes you need help with the marketing, but you don't always need it. Like not everybody's uniform in when they're going to need those things. Some people are inherently good with numbers, some people are bad with numbers. So one of the things that we set out to do, and we're on a mission to help millions of business owners, is 1, get the framework, 2, build the systems, and 3, for people that don't want to do it themselves, we have coaches that work with you. And so you need the marketing coach for 2 months, great. They're going to help you build a marketing plan, get some marketing systems in place. You need help on the financial controls, great. We've got a financial controls coach who's going to help you build the financial systems manual and work on learning how to forecast and read your numbers. And so part of our mission is to help busy business owners, build those stable, profitable businesses, but meet them where they need help right now. Like everybody's going to be different, and that's what keeps we're very malleable to whatever it is they need help with. And it's a joy. I mean, I just had a call with a client this morning who was like, wow, Kristen, in 2 months, I can't believe the change. She's doubled her revenue in 2 months and is like working less hours. And she's like, this is great. So
As you're taking that call, sipping wine from the south of France. So
I am actually not currently in France. I'm in Seattle, but honestly, you know what? A lot of people never know where I am. In that quick funny story is when I'm on the West Coast of the US, I work from about, 6:30 to about 3 in the afternoon, right? Like I hit my East Coasters and different people. When I'm in Paris, I don't open my laptop until like 2:30 in the afternoon. And you work until like 9 o'clock because they don't eat dinner until later anyways. But nobody knows. I mean, for the person in, Atlanta, Georgia, or wherever, Florida or Chicago or wherever, it's always the same phone call or time slot for them. And they never know which end of the spectrum I'm on. What gets me in trouble is when the ambulance goes by in Paris. It has a different sound, and they hear it. They're like, "What is? Where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in Paris."
Not a
So,
bad problem to have.
yes.
I'm curious, because I think a lot of business owners are in their own way, right? And I'm sure you see a lot of commonalities where they're trying to do everything themselves, and maybe hard to delegate or maybe delegate too much. But do you see, I'm curious on both sides, any commonalities between the very successful business owners versus those who just can't, stay in the same place year after year?
Yeah. So I actually just did a live stream about micromanaging versus accountability. And a key to success is delegation, but you've got to not parachute back in. You've got to like lift people up, make sure they know how to do their job, hold them accountable to doing their job, make sure you're confident they can do their job. And then you got to let them do their job. And they might scrape their knee once or twice, but you can't just like get in there and do it for them again, because then you're teaching them that you're always going to be there to parachute in and they don't really have to take ownership. And so that's one of the biggest mindset shifts that I think happens in a CEO. They finally get to that point and they realize, I don't want to live this life where I'm constantly getting sucked back in. I want to be at this higher level. So that mindset, that shift is a big thing that I see in my business owners that are 2, 4, $8 million. Like I I see that in them a lot more. I see the ones at 700,000, 800,000, they're still shifting and getting into that mode. So that is one part of it. I would say the other part of it is, let me just kind of walk, and this is probably something helpful for listeners because they're all going to be in different parts of this journey. But when you first get started and you're working a lot, one of the things we do is we market, and then we get slammed with a lot of business, and then we don't do any marketing, and we wake up one day and like, we need to market, and it's this up and down cycle. And the first thing you want to do is get a part-time marketing assistant, somebody to help you crank that marketing wheel to make sure there's a constant flow of people coming in. The second person that you're going to hire as you go through and elevate is a good executive assistant. Now, in the legal world, this was the old fashioned legal secretary, right? Who took care of you and took care of all those things. But someone that's got to get that email off your plate, your calendaring off your plate, right? All these things that they suck away your precious time and your zone of genius, right? If you want to be a CEO worth following, you've got to have time to cultivate your team. You can't be stuck in your inbox. And so that's another part of that journey is you're surrounding yourself and getting those lower level tasks off of your plate and keeping yourself in the higher tasks that are best suited for the business. So those are two of the first key hires that I recommend. In the legal world, you know, hiring that associate, hiring those paralegals, getting the legal work off your plate, very key. In for my other business owners, it's getting other technicians, whether it's a dental hygienist or whatever. But really kind of you've got to have a plan and a strategy because you, the owner, can't just keep working more hours. Like there's got to be some give, otherwise you get burned out really fast.
I 100% agree. I'd be interested to hear you kind of articulate this because I know this is a challenge probably all business owners have faced. I faced myself. Is you need that person, and that if you could free up some time, taking some of those things off your plate, delegating to that employee, you could go generate more business or do different types of things. But maybe you feel like you don't have the cash, or you don't have the cash to hire that person, which is a real struggle for a lot of people. So I'm curious how you get people to make that jump.
Absolutely. So, first of all, you don't always have to start with full time, right? There's a lot of different ones where you can just bring in somebody for 10 hours a week, a marketing assistant for 5 hours a week. Then, maybe your next hire is a VA, a virtual assistant for 10 hours a week, right? You start and your mindset should be a little bit of, I'm going to hire this person for 25 hours a week. So that's 125 a week. So that's, $600 in a month or something for 5 hours. But they're going to free me. They're going to help execute and get two more clients in, or get, you've got to give them tasks that drive results, not just fluff social media. It's not just likes, it's leads, right? So we build that out with an executive assistant, right? If you could have somebody for 20 hours, gulp, that's a lot of hours to pay for. On the other hand, they're going to free you up for like 8 hours a week of email hell or calendar, right? And they're going to verify appointments, and they're going to set agendas for every appointment, so that when you get on, you are a more powerful CEO. You get more done in less time, and you're clawing back some of your precious time so that you can breathe and be a good CEO. So that will allow you to do really attract better and higher clients. So that's a little bit of that mindset shift of start thinking. Number one tip is start thinking an incremental build of 5-10 hours, and how that's going to claw back your time. Number two, sometimes you do it with a 1-2 punch. You bring in, like in my law firm, you bring in that associate or para who's billable, who you can get direct revenue generation out of, and you bring in that admin person. So it's like a boxer doing a 1-2 punch, right? Like you couple those hires so that the revenue generator is going to support and pay for that administrative person. So that helps you. If you don't have, you're not ready for that technical person, that revenue generator, or you do PI or something that's a longer build, great, that still works. Oh, I apologize.
All
I
good.
did an update on my
All
computer, and
good.
it like resets everything. Sorry. So you just think about, you're going to hire this person. You got to go out and get one more client. You got to get out there and do one more thing, and to bring in some more revenue. And that's going to cover their pay, right? Like that's all you have to do is figure out what's the bare minimum you need. That's it. I mean, so start small and just kind of have a little game plan. Now, because I mean, this is something that we're obviously passionate, and my team has helped me kind of build up, but you know, everything I've done along the way, I'm a pretty open book, Justin. I share with everybody like what I've done, how I've done it. And last year, somebody actually asked me, like, Kristen, how you've got your basic systems manuals, like your financial systems manual, sales systems manual, but like, how did you get your marketing assistant to be profitable for you? And I was like, ooh, good question. And then coupled with that, I was working with Brett Tremblay, who owns Get Staffed Up. He and Enrique Fernandez, and he's like, Kristen, I'm placing all these marketing assistants, um, and the business owners don't know what to do with them. By the way, Get Staffed Up is probably 25 of my clients have staffers from Get Staffed Up. They do offshore staffing for law firms and other businesses, and it's like $1,800 a month for a full-time employee. It's awesome. Definitely on that economy scale, but superstars. And so I have two of them. They're great. So I after hearing this feedback of people on how do you get a marketing assistant profitable, and so it's not just an outlay of cash every month. I literally built a package called How to Hire, Onboard, and Work with a Marketing Assistant to Drive Results. And because it's not about just fluff social media, you got to they got to be producing clients, leads and clients. And that's actually been one of our bestseller packages. But I think that's that mindset that yes, you need to hire, but yes, you have to orchestrate and onboard them and drive results with what their actions they're doing. Then they're fully profitable for you. And
That's
it's all
great.
about ROI.
It's great. My marketing assistant, Jonathan's going to be watching this and cutting this up and posting it. So pay attention.
Love it.
No, so maybe shifting to our last topic, because I know you're big on systems. Obviously, you're kind of touching on that, and so are there? I'm assuming, but are there like fundamentals that you say just out the door, or even if you're later in the business, you got to have this so that the business runs itself to some extent?
Yeah, so one of the things we say, there's a bunch of videos on like our YouTube channel and stuff on like how to write policies and procedures, how to get other people to help you write them, a lot of different things about systems, but it's you start early and often is number one tip. Number two, have a little structure. Like, what do you need to build? It's okay to tell our brain, I'm going to build that later. Like there are plenty of sections of manuals that I've put, it says to be built out, like sections and chapters. And give yourself some grace of you don't build entire systems manuals overnight. Like it takes some work in progress. Um, but I'd say for every business, there's kind of 6 key manuals that you need. And number one is that general manual that every employee is going to get. It's going to tell them about the naming protocol with our files, how our phone structures or phone answering works, how we onboard client, like just basic information that everybody reads through. Then you break down each of the different department manuals. So it's like an admin manual for your back office and admin folks. You've got a technical, for us, like a legal manual, right? For all the workflows and processes. You've got a financial systems manual. You've got a sales systems manual, a marketing systems manual. So those all come together to let you have that framework, and then it's easier to get started on plugging away at certain parts. And I'm a big fan of every time you hire somebody, you literally start building those policies and procedures. When you explain how you want it done, they should be taking notes, and you're filming it and audio recording it so it can be transcribed. And at the end of each day, that new hire's job for an hour is to build 2 policies and procedures. So, let each position almost build their own systems, policies, procedures, checklists, templates, all that stuff. Uh, but yes, I mean, even if you're a solo, have a procedure on naming protocol. This will save you 2 hours a week from trying to find lost items if you just have a good naming protocol that you always use. So take 20 minutes, write it down. You can always tweak it and make it better, but at least start somewhere. Another core one would be triaging calls. Like, set some guidelines and priorities. What is priority that you need to drop everything, get on? What can go to voicemail? What can be handled later? Like, give yourself some structure. Some of those basic ones every business needs. And even if the owner is solo right now or just one person, those will go a long way to like freeing up wasted mental energy. So as you grow, yes, you build out the financial system. So you a good money manager, you build out some of the, technical workflows as you hire in legal, you hire, I keep going to legal because I know you know that law firm look, but for other business owners, when you're hiring people, you want them to have good checklists, good workflows, good processes to follow. And you build that as you grow. So
Yeah,
hopefully that helps.
no, I think that's awesome, and I would say don't get overwhelmed because you don't have to do it all at once. And as you were saying that, I was kind of having like a mini heart attack, like, oh God, I need to do more. I need to get more. But it is, you can do it in phases, and I love the idea. What I've had, each employee, I say kind of same sort of thing is, you went through this training. What would have you changed? What would you have updated? What can we do differently? And then have them film, refilm, write out the policies and everything so that you're not the one doing it over. And it does, it saves you so much
Yeah.
time. You don't have to
Yeah.
explain your vacation policy 50 different times. You just have it written down and it is what it is. So I love that.
So we're
Yeah.
actually running a hiring and onboarding boot camp, 6-week boot camp, and they're building out in 6 weeks the entire hiring process with all their hiring systems, automating the whole process with an applicant tracking system, and then we're building out their entire onboarding university. And this week's homework is like they have to record a video on core values and mission and culture, and the admin has to do a couple of videos too. And you're constantly building each time you're onboarding and you're teaching and training, like you now have version 1.0 and next employee can make it version 1.1 and make it a little better. And yeah, I mean, you build out that onboarding checklist and those, that process, and each hire makes it better and better. So it's a work in progress. Although I will say, always fast track where you can in life with using a template or what somebody else has already done. Go get, like if you know somebody's got an amazing system, like figure out how you can duplicate that or buy it or whatever it is. So, not all of us like to sit on the couch for 12 hours writing policies and procedures. You got
Just
to
you,
find a
just
fast
you,
track.
just you.
Just me.
Well, I think that's awesome. And so last question, is there, I know you've got a ton of nuggets out there, any one or two things that stand out for business owners, maybe, let's say, trying to get over that hump. What's one or two things they could kind of take away and start implementing today?
Number one would be know your core values and your culture, because everything you do in your job ad, you're resonating and selling, you're attracting people who resonate and think like you do, and are going to help you build in your clients, and everything you're doing, like those core values and the culture that you're building that you love enjoying. Like, stay true to yourself. Like, the biggest way you get off track quickly is onboarding that client that doesn't really fit with what you do, right? And then it's a pain in your side. So number one would just be, like knowing that mission and the core values and culture. Number two, I would say have a business plan. Even if it's just basic, it gives you the quarter by quarter, like, what do you need to work on? What do you need to do? I know one of our evergreen webinars gets tagged every single week is how to write a business plan in 60 minutes. And it comes with a template business plan, because even just 60 minutes of planning gives you more clarity of what do you need to work on? What do you need to do? So I think a lot of business owners get sucked into the trenches very quickly. And if we can just pop up and be that CEO and do a little planning goes a long way. So that's tip number two. And number three, we didn't talk about it much. Well, three is systems, and four is profitability. That was the part we didn't talk about much. Don't build a business that you end up not, you pay everybody else but yourself. Like, sometimes we have to take a step back and restructure. Be profitable. It's okay. Profit is what gives you options and opportunities. And, you're working your butt off, work happy, and make sure you're paying yourself and being profitable. So, some of those are kind of just those core things that you got to kind of re-embrace, and we lose sight of that as we, soon the tail is wagging the dog, right? And that's no judgment zone. My law firm, it was on fire for a while, and I was in reactive mode, not proactive. I was, not taking in enough money. I mean, sometimes you have to do a reset button, but I think those four elements will kind of help people kind of reposition, get back to where they want to be.
Love it. I know people listening, watching are going to get a ton of value and probably going to want to know how to get in touch with you, find you. So where they need your help. So how do people, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Honestly, come check out our website, uplevelingyourbusiness.com. In there's more about like our coaching program, our systems packages, all the ways we help business owners. There's also a ton of free resources, the business plan webinar, block calendaring templates, all kinds of goodies on there. So uplevelingyourbusiness.com. And listen, even if people take just one nugget out of today and go and use it, I'm grateful. Like, that's what I'm on a mission to do, is one step at a time.
Awesome. I love it, Kristen. Great seeing you. Appreciate it. And thanks for being on. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.